to the SDG Warriors Podcast, where storytelling and curiosity collide to create impact. My name is Simar Mohanty, and I'm the team lead and student coordinator of the SDG Warriors. We're a team of passionate student change makers and STEMnists on a mission to achieve the UN SDGs by 2030, leveraging our superpowers in STEM and 21st century skills. Every episode, we bring you real-life stories of EDUheroes and STEM experts from the grassroots who show us what it actually looks like to be the change. Whether you're a student ready to lead, a teacher shaping future innovators, a parent nurturing purpose, or simply a curious mind, you're here at the right place. Well, in today's episode, we are joined by Miss Amy and Miss Dyann, a.k.a. the Tech Twins, who are educators and champions of human-centered learning. Well, Miss Amy, she cracks the hard rock of innovation and with EdTech, while Miss Dyann, she steers the steady current of SEL, guiding students through emotional waters. And together, they combine their superpowers and design classrooms where innovation has a heartbeat and where every student feels seen and supported. And I think it's really a joy to have you both here with us today.
We're really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us on your show.
Yes, thank you. Excited.
Awesome. So before we begin with the questions, can you tell us where are you right now? What's the weather like outside? And what can you see from your window right now?
Oh, I love that question. So Amy Storr, I'm an innovative learning specialist in Montgomery ISD in Montgomery, Texas. And I'm actually in Plantersville, Texas right now. It is 11:32 a.m. I hope you can't hear my husband mowing the grass, but he is mowing the grass right now. I am on our second story and next to a very large window that's open. And I just see a very beautiful backyard that finally has grass that's turning green. So spring is almost here. And it's looking to be a really pretty day.
I'm in my bedroom and my window's not open. It is 11:33. I'm in Conroe, Texas, which is probably like 45 minutes from my sister, maybe a little less. I'm a little bit closer to Woodlands and to Houston. But I just walked into my living room and I love plants. So if you know me well, you know I love plant life. So I looked outside, my plants are on the porch. I have some indoor plants that make me really happy. So that's the first thing I look for when I wake up is my plants, and I check on my babies. So that's, if I was to open this window, it'd be my neighbor's yard. We don't want to see that. But if I was to go outside and show, you'd see my plants. So yeah.
I think that's a beautiful way to start the day by looking at your plants. And yeah, back here in Bangalore, India, we have the pink plant season. It's a Saturday night and we have a soft summer breeze which rustles the trees and you can probably hear them. And it's that time of the year where our whole city glows pink with the cherry blossoms. And today I had the pleasure of going down for a walk and taking some pictures with the trees, a tradition which I follow every year. So yes.
That's beautiful. Dyann would love to see that.
I would love that.
It's awesome. You guys should visit Bangalore. It's a very fun place to be in.
That would be awesome.
Bucket list for sure.
All right. So now that we've got the scene set, let's go back in time. So twins, can you tell us about a moment in your own student years when being misunderstood or overlooked shaped how fiercely you now advocate for invisible students today?
This is a good question because I almost found it easier to find an answer for Dyann. Mm-hmm. Thinking back to our middle school years, I'm curious if that's what she's going to talk about. For me, it was what I landed on was that I struggled with math as a student, elementary, middle, and high school. It just was a struggle for me, and it felt like things were moving quickly, and the ways in which I wanted to show what I know, express my learning. Back in the 80s, Dyann and I are dinosaurs, if you didn't know that. Back in the 80s and 90s, the ways in which we encourage kids to share their learning was really one-sided. It was, here's an assessment, 20 questions, multiple choice. For me, I was a student who maybe not at the time didn't recognize this, but now I do. I needed other ways to share my learning. And so I think that added to my struggle in math was there was one way to solve the problem, right? And that was it. There was no other ways to solve it. Now, today, thank goodness, we embrace that our kids learn differently. All of our kids learn differently. So now, as an adult educator, someone who works with students and teachers all the time, I really make it a goal of mine to design learning, to encourage learning design that offers students multiple ways to engage in the learning, different ways of thinking, and that they feel safe to struggle out loud. That was something I didn't feel safe doing back. Not that my teachers were fabulous. Dyann and I grew up in a really great school system. We had a mother who embraced education. She was an educator as well. And so all of that checked the boxes, right? But it was just I had a voice as a student, but I didn't have the tools to share it in ways that helped me learn. And so now, like I said, in this role, I really work hard to make sure that students feel safe in their spaces, that they know that they can share in a variety of ways, whether it's a podcast or, old school pen and paper, or maybe sketching, that all of these ways can help show the adults around you that that you learned and that you were successful. So yeah, that was what I landed on. But I'm curious if Dyann is going to talk about what I think she's going to talk about.
Well, this is, I don't, because our childhood was amazing. The school we went to was amazing. Growing up, our family, me and my sister were really blessed with the support system that we had academically, emotionally. We were blessed with an amazing mother who raised us as a single mother for years, and she instilled a lot in us. And I think that has kind of shaped how we are with other people today, students and adults alike. I can even think back to middle school. There's never not a time where me and my sister have intentionally been cruel to somebody. We've always been very accepting. Even I'm thinking of one situation in this girl I'm about to talk about. I'm not going to say her name, but she has since passed away. But she was super different in high school. You probably call them the misfits, the emo kids, which to me is a whole vibe. So mad love for that group anyway. But she was not very accepted. And I remember sitting in computer class, and she was sitting either in front or behind me. And there were some mean girls in our grade in high school, and they were mean and they were cruel to me, to my sister, to this specific group.
Not just girls, boys too.
And I remember how sad she was that day. And I just started talking to her, and we were chatting. It was a computer typing class, which I absolutely loved. That was my favorite class ever, with a coach. What was her name? Her mom was a coach, Ramsey, yeah. Lucana, I don't remember her name. Anyway, she was great. So anyway, I kept talking to her, and we became really good friends. And I remember seeing the look on her face about me talking to her in front of other people, and that's not why I was doing it. I did it because I genuinely, me and my sister were friends with everybody. We loved being friends with everybody. And so that moment kind of shaped me right there. And then some of our friends struggling with identity back in the day, and they weren't accepted in that kind of town we lived in. That struggle we got to watch. But for me, I thrive on finding those students that when you look at them in the hallway, their heads down, they're not talking to much people, they don't have many friends. That's the ones I'm probably going to seek out and try to get to know and understand better, because they probably haven't built that connection with an adult yet. And I think that stems from what I learned as a child, or even as a young adult in high school. And I'm not saying by any means the town we lived in, the school, great, it shaped us. I'm still friends with people back in Finette, but just certain situations kind of just stick in your mind. And that's one of them for me, was being friends with her. And even after high school, we still spoke to each other. And I mean, they were the misfits. They were, if you look in our yearbook,
they're so fun.
Right now, our yearbook, there's a couple pages of them, and you're like, they don't even fit in. And that is right.
And that group of people probably didn't even know that Dyann and I wanted to be them so bad.
So bad.
We loved the way they dressed. We loved the music they listened to, and yeah, this is what I thought Dyann was going to share.
Mm-hmm.
And when I thought about it from Diane's perspective, because she's such a wonderful school counselor, and I've gotten opportunities to go sit in her office during the school day and watch her interact with students. And you can tell that she's taken every experience from when she was in middle school, when she was in high school, and she's using that now to make students feel seen, heard, loved, appreciated. So as tough as those experiences were for both of us, she has taken that, and it's just a part of her toolbox when she works with kids. It's such a cool thing to witness. She's a great counselor. She knows I love her.
Oh, thanks.
I think I relate to both stories very deeply because personally, as a student, when I reflect on how I learn best when the teachers are super approachable. When they feel human and not like untouchable beings. I remember having teachers who were incredibly confident and knowledgeable, and I looked really forward to learn from them. But sometimes they never adjusted their approach for different learners, and it was like if you didn't immediately get it, it felt like you were the problem. And I think that's why it's so powerful when educators choose to remember what it felt like to be on the other side of the desk as a student. And that's when the best learning happens. And I think there's something unique in every little person, a superpower that everyone has, and there are no misfits. And if you're not fitting in one place, you're born to be golden, you're born to shine in a different place. And let's double click on how that looked like in a real classroom setting. Miss Amy, long before the global stage, you were a math and science teacher in Texas. So, can you tell us more about your converse in the classroom era featuring messy text stories and book snaps? And what did the transition look like from being a classroom teacher to an instructional coach?
So this question, I loved it because I kind of stepped back in time. The Converse in the Classroom blog started in 2015, so many years ago. And I started it because I was following an educator. Her name is Kayla Delzer. She was known then, and I'm not sure right now, but Top Dog Teaching was her blog. And I loved that all the things that she was sharing. She was opening up her classroom to the world. She was inspiring me to do different activities. It was her, Paul Solars, I think that's how you say his last name, way back in the day when there was Skype in the classroom. They were just both so inspirational. And so I was like, I want to start a blog. And I named it Converse in the Classroom because I was the teacher that was known for wearing Converse. Every day of the week, I wore my black and white Converse sneakers. I don't live that life anymore, but I wear shoes that are comfortable. But so I started that blog really just to share all the things my students and myself were doing in our classroom, to hopefully inspire others to kind of step outside the box when it comes to learning. I was a GT teacher. I was a project-based learning teacher. And so I was doing all these different experiences with my students, and a lot of them, you want to kind of wrap those experiences up with kids connecting with experts in that area. Miss Storr can praise their work all day long, but when they hear it from someone who was in the field doing the work that says, oh, what you created was spot on, even better. And so I started that blog just to get connected. One of my favorite blog posts, I think it was in 2016, and you can still go find the blog. It's out there. The class that I did this with is a class that I will never forget. And we did an experiment where we were getting ready to study soil. It's a boring topic in science, right? We were about to study soil. And so I put out on Twitter, it was Twitter back then, I put out on Twitter looking for ideas to kind of spice up the lesson. And Kevin Honeycutt, who is just a gem of an educator, responded to my post with 2 ideas for my students. Not only did he give me 2 ideas, he made graphics. And so I shared these 2 ideas with my kids, and they got to choose. They chose the one that had I think it was a goat with like an astronaut hat on it. And the topic was, you have been tasked with, you're going to have to move to Mars for so many months. You have to build a self-sustaining garden to survive there. So that was kind of their goal, was to study the Martian soil. What kind of soil do we have to use to build a sustaining garden to live there? I think the movie The Martian had just come out with Matt Damon at the time. And so my kids loved it. One of my groups, they called themselves the Gardeners of the Galaxy. And each group had to come up with a garden that would survive to feed them and their family, etc. It was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever gone through as an educator. And my kids too, they still talk about it today. They're all grown adults, college, having families. And we tagged NASA. Our goal was that NASA was going to be our public audience to look at our final product. Very lofty goal, right? NASA did not get back to me. So Kevin Honeycutt got back to me though, and he said, hey, I know somebody who lives in Kansas. They work at the Cosmosphere, and she's a Martian soil expert. And I was like, that's a job? Like, this lady, her job is to study soil and Mars. And so, we'll connect with her. And so we Skyped with her. She is in this huge facility with a rocket ship behind her. My kids are like, cannot be real life. And they're getting to ask her questions, share their ideas. She's giving them feedback. That was the instant where I started using the term sticky learning. Like, it's the type of learning that sticks with you, that never leaves. And that's what I tried to do every year as a teacher. And now as someone who works with adults, I try to encourage that as well. But it was because of that blog, because I wanted to share. I got connected and all that. That led to doing things like book snaps, which was where you would snap pages in a book that you were reading, and you would sketch on top of it and doodle and draw to, I guess, reflect on the reading. So just a lot of great came from that. It's still one of my favorite blogs and times in my life. Leaving the classroom to be an instructional coach was hard because I became a teacher because of the kids. And I was like, when I become a coach, my kids are the teachers, right? But no, I still got to go in classrooms and work with students, and that never left. And so my passion is working with educators, working with teachers, and I do that now in this role more as a tech coach. But yeah, it's the transition was hard but easy, and everything I learned as a classroom teacher has made me who I am today. So love it.
Wow, and I think that actually strikes a chord in STEM, generally logic, that can feel like a low battery mode where like our creativity usually fades. And so the idea of having this sort of control mess where the students are actively creating and thinking, it actually feels really powerful. I remember like last semester, our entire class was super overwhelmed with all the different kinds of circuit types and the internal arrangements that we had to do. And our professor, what she did is she ended with a 3-round identification quiz, and we had options to choose what style of quiz we want to pick. And that basically covered everything that we did in those 6 months. And sitting in those groups and recognizing patterns and then connecting those concepts, that experience actually helped to click everything in a way that just passive listening or writing and practicing the circuits that never could. And I think that when technology is used with a purpose, and yes, I remember Skype in the classroom was super big back in the day. I remember that me and my friends, we had a Skype session with a scientist, an engineer at Tesla, and all the boys, they went crazy. And I think, yes, technology, it's when we use it to visualize and build and not just consume, the learning actually sticks, like you mentioned, sticky learning. And on a similar note, Miss Dyann, you moved from being a volleyball or PE coach into the high stakes world of SEL and school counseling during one of the hardest eras for student mental health. So what was the refiner's fire moment that made care feel heavy, and what quiet student win still matters more than any title?
So I want to kind of back up a little bit to starting my life in education. I think this might go for a lot of people in education. I know it did for me. I was very naive, in my late 20s going into education. My first job was a PE coach, athletic coach in Beaumont. Loved it. I did it for 8 years. It shaped me. It definitely encouraged me to take the path of school counseling. But again, very naive. You come from a small town. You don't really think outside that bubble too much. Like there's you don't know. We were not exposed to a lot of like traumas in our childhood. We weren't exposed to heartache a whole bunch. We were just very protected. And I think that kind of hurt us in some ways because, again, we were not exposed to what other families are exposed to. So when I got this job in Beaumont, which is it's inner city compared to this small town, Fannette, a lot of the things that I saw and witnessed in that town and in that school was shocking. Heartbreaking and shocking. I didn't even know it was around. So all these little moments, because I was naive to the fact that the world is so much bigger than Fannette, all the trauma, everything that I came into as a physical education coach and a teacher, all the traumas that I experienced, that I saw, the kids that I had dealt with as a coach. A lot of the kids come to you for counseling, even though you're not a counselor, and that's kind of what encouraged me to take this path. But that was hard for me. because you go into this job with, you're trying to be unbiased, but you find that you have bias and you don't understand why they're having trouble with the situations they're in. That just can't be real, but it is. And so then going into counseling, the same thing. So anyway, I wanted to kind of say that first, because I think mental health has, I don't want to say deteriorated, but it has gotten harder for children to cope with mental health. COVID did not help at all. I think that kind of made things much more amplified for some of our babies. Because right now, I don't know if you know, but our COVID kindergartners are in middle school. So like those kids that did not go to school during COVID are now in middle school. And that gap year, that 1 year of maybe kinder or first, where they're supposed to be learning a lot of social skills and coping, they weren't there. And then you got to think they were at home with parents, without parents, doing school, not doing school. So anyway, you're seeing a lot of that kind of pop up right now. So I think it was just a steady accumulation of like stories, the anxiety, the trauma, and realizing that that I can't fix everything. That was a big thing for me. That was what made it hard for me, is that I can't fix people. That's what I had to learn really quick, is that I'm not there to fix you. I'm there to kind of guide you, be a guiding light, a beacon. But empathy is something that I strive to have for everybody, regardless if I know you or not, is that I'm gonna have empathy for you. I don't know your situation. I don't live it. So, but it started to become really heavy as years went on, from coaching and then like transferring into counseling. The empathy piece became harder and harder. It became really heavy, because you take stuff home. You take some home to your family, to your kids, and then you see that. I mean, you want something. I always say I want something to land. My sister says sticky learning. For me, I think that's equal to me saying I want something to land. I want something that I said or did to you as a child or as a teacher, as an adult, and you'll remember it. Because a lot of times I go home from work and I think I don't make a difference because the kid I've been working with for so long messed up again. And I take that personal, because I'm like, they're not listening. But that's not it. You're slowly embedding and planting those seeds that one day, that one thing that you said will make a difference in their life. That's the hope. So I live off that. That's the legacy that I live on. That's what matters to me. So I feel like I'm all over the place. This is a really good question. But I want to make sure I get all of it, because the coaching prepared me to move into counseling. This is my passion. My passion is kids. My passion is adults. My passion is helping other counselors. But the hope is that even if I don't see the outcome, again, something that we talk about lands, that it sticks, and that one day a conversation will resurface and a student will remember what you said or what you did for them. And that's what matters to me the most. So for me, that is the refiner's fire moment. I had to like Google that and see what that meant. So yeah, for me, that's it. It's just hoping that something sticks, and that's my legacy. That's what I want to keep going with my kids and the adults that I encounter daily.
I think that's beautiful. And in my opinion, I think people think care is more of a soft skill, while in reality, it's the hardest discipline to master, especially remembering to not only be kind to everyone else, but also to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
The world, it doesn't pause for anyone. And for different people, the pace is different. And life does get hard to keep up with, especially in today's dog eats dog world.
Mm-hmm.
But I've personally realized that resilience is not between choosing a red pill and a blue pill of, stop everything and keep going. It's more about pausing. It's more about reflecting. It's more about resilience. And I think it takes an entire lifetime to learn when to have those correct pause moments where you don't compromise your responsibilities as well. And COVID definitely has made that progress very slow for the youth today. So yes, mental health does matter, and every now and then we should try to relate to people, because I think relatability is the key to forming more empathetic connections. So yes, I do resonate with your point, Miss Dyann. So after exploring both the origin stories, let's talk about the whole child lens. So can you both tell us the tale of tech care twins, and what are digital calming rooms, and how has your vision evolved from ensuring students that they don't lose their humanity in this new era of AI?
So Dyann will for sure jump into this, because the tech care twins really was because of her. And so when COVID hit, I think we were all of us collectively were like, okay, what do we do? Like, how do we stay connected? How do we make sure that our students and our teachers and our families are taken care of? At the time, I was an instructional coach. I was a tech mentor. So I was doing stuff. I was doing webinars for parents. I was hopping on Zoom to work with students and to work with teachers. And Dyann, as a school counselor back then, and she'll freely admit this, she was not using technology. And I think COVID taught all of us, oh, well, like you're going to have to pick up some sort of tech to stay connected. And so she reached out to me and was like, what can I do to stay connected with my families and my students? And we just started small. And her idea initially, she was inspired by a counselor in California. We still wish we could remember her name. She's somewhere out there. She created a digital calming room for families and students and even teachers to jump into. I'll let Dyann talk more about that. And then Dyann decided to recreate it using a tool called Wakelet. And so that was really the first tool that Dyann picked up back in the day. And ever since then, she has truly, I'm not just saying this because she's my twin sister and I love her, she is a pioneer in the field of counseling when it comes to technology. Like, dare I say, the first counselor that really has embraced tech and inspired other counselors to do the same. But that's kind of where, once we were doing that, and I'll let Dyann talk about the calming rooms and her perspective of this, but that led to us having a conversation of, it'd be really cool if like you and I don't know, like presented this to other people. And Dyann submitted a session. She came up with the name Tech Care Twins. At the time, I was the tech, she was the care. But we both tech and we both care. And that it just kind of turned into not only our name, but a mission that we were going to work with others and not just counselors. Dyann was just the first school counselor ever to be a featured speaker at one of the largest ed tech conferences here in Texas. And so she's not only impacting counselors, she's impacting educators. And that's our goal, is just to show them that tech is not meant to be one more thing. It's meant to support you and your students, whether it's academically or for SEL purposes. And yeah, it's been such a fun ride, and we're not getting off anytime soon. So we're excited to see what happens in the future. But I'll let Dyann for sure share a little bit about that journey as well.
So at that time when COVID happened, I was working in Houston and Montgomery ISD, and again, was not using technology, had no desire to use technology, didn't have the time to use technology, didn't want to learn new tools. So as a counselor, we already have enough on our plate, and that's the last thing we want to do is learn something else to do. But when COVID happened, and I mean, that was fast and furious. And then we were, online school, and, the district that I worked in did an amazing job kind of pushing out resources through their news stations. I think at that time, Aldine had maybe their own channel or something. But I reached out to my sister and asked her for, what's the best way to build like a virtual newsletter. And then I found the calming rooms. And I don't think we've ever mentioned this, Amy, but the Bitmoji rooms, I forgot. I used that a lot during COVID.
Yeah.
And that was the funnest thing ever, was to build my Bitmoji and my office space with all these clickable. I think that kind of started my love for tech too. I mean, of course, the Wakelets was my number one. That's the OG that I started with. That was my ride or die for a long time. I still use them. I still talk to some of the people that work there. I love Wakelet. So that's what started me, was Wakelet helped me build a newsletter for resources. And then me and her both found someone online. I don't remember. I really wish I could remember her name because she inspired so much for me. But she built a digital calming room, but it was for her, like for her state. And so we built our own with, Houston in mind. So for example, the live animal cams had like the Houston Zoo. Houston museums were on there, the virtual museum. So we always made it very relevant to like our surroundings and our community. And so that Google site was what started it all. And I love making digital calming rooms.
Yeah, we've since made them. We've made them in Wakelet, Google Sites, Padlet,
yeah,
Fig Jam.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Maybe so lots of different options for teachers if you like one tool over the other.
Right.
Even when I was an instructional coach, I used to have the Animal Cam, specifically the Monterey Bay Aquarium or the Monterey Bay Zoo in California, their live otter cam, rescue otters. I would have that in my room as a coach. And when teachers would walk in, and it's not, of course, going to fix all the problems in education, right? But you could see a little bit of the tension kind of release in their shoulders, just watching these otters kind of flutter around and play as a family. So it's good for everybody. It's just another outlet for students to lean on in case they need it, teachers or families. Yeah.
We make it to where if we're not using it at school, like the arts teachers have it, our kids always have access to it, but we put it on Clever, which is the kind of the base we use for like assignments and testing and all of our apps we use in our district. And so anybody can access the calming room from Clever, whether they're home or at school or whatever. And the good thing is, obviously YouTube could be blocked. A lot of things can be blocked at districts, and that's one of them. But if it's inside Clever, or even in Canva, they're able to access things more easily. So that's a good thing. But also, I think it's important to not just, so we have the digital space, obviously, but we also have like a Zen Den right across from my office. I think it's super, super important to apply for as many grants as you can, try to get money pulled together at any campuses or schools, colleges, anywhere, and have a tangible space for your kids, for your staff. It has done so many wonders for our kids to have that space they can go into and take like a 5-minute break. So I think it's important to have the tech side. Obviously, that's what we're talking about is the calming rooms. But I also want to say it's super important to have something tangible for our kids. It has done some really good supportive measures for our kids and even our adults on campus. So I think that's important too, is that we have to make sure that technology is here to stay. AI, I'm big about pushing it and making sure people are using it responsibly and that it's not replacing the human touch that counselors give or that educators give. That's not what it's doing. But I also think it's important to have a space that they know is like real and authentic to them, something that they know they can go to learn that coping skill. It's the same thing with digital calming rooms as it is with that Zen Den I'm talking about. They have to learn how to self-cope in a healthy way versus those bad behaviors that in the end you realize it's connected to something. So I think it's super important that if you can't teach through digital, you can definitely do it with a calm down corner or a calming room with the same things. So I think that's important to point out too.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is how you've turned technology, the very thing that's always disregarded to often cause stress, to actually becoming a cure, via the digital calming rooms. And here I'd like to spotlight a conversation actually, which we had 2 days ago with Dr. Dyann. Because you guys mentioned about the live animal cams and the nature scenes. She told us about the Blue Room project, which uses the nature imagery to enhance well-being in correctional facilities. And in that episode, we did explore why nature has a calming effect on the human psyche and how it lowers stress and restores focus. And I think that also reminds us as human beings that we belong to something much bigger than the screen, much bigger than our enclosed classrooms. And yes, you did mention otters, and that reminded me of the sea lions. Have you seen sea lion videos?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we have any live ones, but I've never really thought about it from that perspective, how the videos kind of pop the roof off of your school building and classrooms, and that's why it starts to calm. So that's fascinating. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, I'm always fascinated by looking at those nature reels on Instagram. But yes, we do need to fix our feeds a bit to get that inspiring content.
Yes.
So I just wanted to ask you both, do you have a hard stop right now?
To end the show?
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
What questions
I think we got 10 more minutes, 10-ish minutes, yeah.
All right. Okay, that sounds awesome.
Okay.
So to wrap up all the entire conversation that we had today, can you tell us who has been your North Star in your life, any inspirational words, and your one message that you think can inspire you today to build a better future?
Love this question. I think we're both going to have the same answer. So our mother passed away 20 years ago this fall. Which is crazy to even say out loud. She was a classroom teacher, specifically in special education. Like Dyann mentioned earlier, she was a single mom for many years, and her dream was to become an educator. and she worked multiple jobs. She cleaned offices. She was an accountant, you name it, to put herself through school, night school back then, I believe, to get her teaching degree. And then she finally got her degree. And back then, the pay for teachers, it's not good now. And it was definitely not good back then. She just was one of those people that when you walk into her classroom, you could feel that her purpose was here. She was meant to do this work. And I know for me, and I'm sure for Dyann, getting to see that and getting to really be around her students and see their joy. I got to go on a field trip with my mom and her students one year to Parkdale Mall in Beaumont. And I just remember standing back and looking at her and thinking, yeah, I want to do this because of her. I want to be that someone in a student's life or in a teacher's life that they can depend on, that they can lean on, that I can champion. And she is everything Dyann and I do is for her and because of her. Every move we make, every decision we make, especially in the education space, I know with Dyann and her kids, is because of her. So she's definitely my North Star. She will forever and always be. I'm surprised I didn't cry. I'm gonna stop talking in case I do and let Dyann share. But she is, she's everything.
So I echo everything she just said. Same. She was a wonderful mother. We were very blessed to have not only her, but her parents that raised it. Well, they actually raised, I got a divorce, well after my mom died from my first marriage, and I was a single mom, and my grandparents became my North Star then. They lost, their daughter, our mom before them. But so I think all three of them, my mom and her parents were, and even our dad later in life, he was, absent for a little while, but later in life, he became someone very impactful to us as well. So, but she was the reason. Now, back then, I fought everything that she wanted me to do. I mean, Amy, that's a separate podcast.
Dyann was the naughty twin.
I was
the well-behaved daughter. Dyann was not.
I did not do. I definitely got off the beaten path a lot. I tested my limits. I tested my mom's patience. She wanted me to do anything that made me happy. I still have a note from her and somewhere in my closet that says that says just that. And I remember her saying, maybe I should put you on Oprah, or she might have said Dr. Phil. Maybe I should put you on Dr. Phil so we can see what you want to do with your life. Because I think I changed my major like 3 times. So when she got sick with cancer is when I really started taking my life more seriously, which I hate that it had to wait till that, but it did. But I graduated, and it was because of her. I finished school, graduated, got my first teaching job. And that's kind of what led me into what I am today. And then I think you don't think about it then, but obviously I think about it now because I'm living it. The way she was so altruistic and so giving, and the bleeding heart, like all those things, I do that now. I didn't think about it then, but those little things that she was planting in me, like I talked about a while ago, planting the seeds, hoping something lands. She was doing that to me then. And it just took a little longer, but eventually got there. Those seeds blossomed, and now I'm kind of doing what she was ultimately showing me all along. So definitely.
She won in the end. She won in the end.
Yeah, she won in the end. She got it.
Honestly, I think that's such a beautiful way to put it, that Mama Amy and Mama Dyann, she's right now in the stars looking upon both of you, and you're carrying forward her legacy. And I think it's, yes, teachers, they don't get thanked a lot. So I would like to say thank you so much for being so resilient. I mean, I personally wouldn't know what would have you both gone through, but I think it takes a lot of strength to go through everything. And the bright light which shines, the powerful compass, it can light up the path. And in the darkest times, when we look at that, we follow it, we just land in a good place. So thank you so much for being so vulnerable and sharing that with our listeners today.
You're welcome. It's a great question. We're always happy to share her. So as hard as sometimes it is to talk about it, we love getting to share her and share that she's really why we do what we do today. So,
right.
Huge shout out to her. And to wrap up the episode, could you give us a call to action? What can children and young people do to make the world a better place?
So Dyann and I were talking about this yesterday, and we thought we landed on this message to the children and young people. And for me, I'm thinking of my niece Nancy and my nephew Finn. Like, I picture a world that they're going to live in years from now, and I want it to be just a great place for them. And so my message, and Dyann agrees with this, is you don't have to wait to grow up to make the world a better place. Like, you can start right now where you are. Mm-hmm. Our students, our children, they have access to more tools than we've ever had. They have more voice than any other generation as well. And it's not about if they can make a difference, it's how they choose to use what they have now. Nancy has done this in the actions that she has done in school as a part of like her honor society, where she has come up with ideas to share kindness. Finn he's my sugar and spice and everything nice, but he's a friend to all. And he goes out of his way to make sure everyone is seen and loved. I'm sure that's because he has a mom who does the same thing. But yeah, I think our message to our littles and all those that are growing up in the world today is you don't have to wait to make the world a better place. You've got everything you need to do that right now, whether it's through your voice, your actions, how you lift others up, and not just in person, but online as well. Mm-hmm. How you can make people smile, feel seen. So yeah.
And I think so too, knowing that a lot of the work that we do in education is super invisible. People only assume what they don't know. So I think it's important for educators just to kind of lead with compassion, always encourage, and know that, like, this goes back to what I said earlier, if you don't see the results, it's totally okay. If you don't see that seed you planted has blossomed, it is okay. They aren't going to be immediate. You have to keep thinking back how you were as a kid or you were as a young adult. Nothing's immediate. I'm always trying to go back to, okay, well, remember when I was that age? So just, again, goes back to hoping something lands, and just be patient, have courage, and always, always, always live with compassion and kindness to everybody, as hard as it is. So yeah, those are two, I think, good points for adults and for our kids.
And yes, that's your call to action, folks. The future, it's built by hands that are skilled, the hearts that are kind, and the minds that dare to imagine right now. Miss Amy, Miss Dyann, thank you so much for taking up time today and sharing your story and vision with our listeners. And to our listeners, your call to action: be a tech care pioneer. Use your tools thoughtfully, but never let them replace your curiosity, your empathy, or the connection. Nurture what makes you unique and help others thrive. And maybe find your own twin along the way, just like Jenny did. And you can find that story too in our previous episodes, as well as more about Wakelet with Miss Tisha Poncio and Mr. Jamil Khalil. So yes, you can check out those and follow the Tech Care Twins Edu Ventures too in the links in the show notes. And to keep exploring youth leadership, human-centered learning, and innovation, subscribe to the SDG Warriors podcast for more insights from EDUheroes like the Tech Care Twins, shaping a better world one student at a time. Share it with your friends and family. Be curious and be the change. Until next time, it's peace out from the SDG Warriors.
Everywhere.